Hello and welcome. So in this video we are going to build a cryptocurrency trading bot based on real-time moving average crossover. So what is the problem with that in general? So usually technical indicators such as a simple moving average are calculated over several days. If you're using a live stream getting live prices, you're only getting the most recent prices. So technically you are not able to calculate the real simple moving average over the last n days. So what is the goal of this video? We are combining both getting historical data and then take the live stream data to calculate the live crossover or the live simple moving average. And we want to enter the trade when the crossover happens live. Some prerequisites you should be aware of. You should know what a moving average crossover is. You should know the calculation of a moving average. And you should have watched one or two intro videos on the Binance API. I will link all necessary videos in the video description. Important disclaimer, cryptocurrency and specific automated trading is bearing a huge amount of risk and may result in a total loss of your invested capital. Cryptocurrencies are not regulated and the Python Binance API wrapper is not official. Even more important disclaimer, don't blindly follow my instructions. Please just see these videos as a project and not as trade this to make money. You need to do your own research, assess and manage the risk based on your own risk profile and make proper adjustments. Do not execute code you don't understand 100%. Losses are part of trading. Be aware of the risk you want to take. Okay, so let me quickly show you what exactly we want to trade. So what you're seeing here is the Bitcoin chart and we see daily candles, right? So the moving averages are calculated over the past days. So just then you know, if you are changing them here, the moving averages are calculated over 1 hour, 2 hours, 4 hours, 15 minutes, 1 minute, and so on, right? But anyhow, we are taking daily. So here you see that the short-term moving average, so this brown or orange or whatever line, is crossing this purple, magenta or whatever line. So this line is the short-term and this line is the long-term moving average. 7 days and 25 days. And we want to place our trade exactly when this cross is happening. Another example here. Short-term is crossing long-term. Alright, so let's get started. As you see, I already did some stuff here. Let's go through it together. So I ran my Binance Keys notebook where I'm storing my API key and my API secret. You don't have to do that. I'm just doing that for data protection reasons. Just make sure that you're defining your API key and your API secret in your current environment. Then I'm importing Nest Async.io. You don't have to do that in case you're using an IDE or raw Python. This is only if you're using Jupyter Notebook. I'm importing pandas for data handling and Async.io to run event loops, which I need to get live prices. I also need the Binance Socket Manager also to get live prices, and I need the client to connect to my Binance account and, for example, create orders. Now let's define the short-term and the long-term moving average. And we are just sticking to the Binance definition. So the short-term is 7 days and the long-term is 25 days. And in the next step, I'm pulling the historicals, but I'm taking the sum and I'm explaining you why I'm doing that with a simple example. So imagine we have one array out of 3 numbers, right? And we can take the mean out of that and getting a 5 here. If we're adding a number, so by the way, this is the equivalent to our new price or our live price floating in. If we're adding a number here, we're getting 6.25. So how do I get from this to this? The possibility would be to take the sum of this old, in quotation marks, old array. Then you're getting a 15. And then you add a 10 to this 15. So just, 25. 10 plus 15. And then you're dividing that by the length of the new array. And the length of the new array is just the time period of our simple moving average in general. You will see that in some seconds. So if I'm doing that, I'm getting this new simple moving average. And this logic we are using to calculate the live cross of the simple moving average or the live simple moving average in general. Okay. Now let's pull those historical, not SMAs, but sums, because of what I just told you, right? So we are doing that with the function get historicals, taking a symbol and the long-term moving average as an argument. Within this function, we are defining a data frame, which is using the client and get historical k-lines of a particular symbol, which we are providing. And we want to have 1 day time steps because we want to calculate simple moving averages over days, right? Not minutes, not 15 minutes, over days. And we want to go back. So here is where we define our going back or look back period. We are just taking the long-term moving average and we are going back these many days. So in our case, 25 days, right? Days ago, UTC. And we are going until 1 day ago because the simple, or not the simple moving average, but the simple moving average component of today, we are calculating with the live price. So the data of today we are streaming, but all the other data we are getting from this get historical API call. So we want to go until 1 day ago. All right. And now we have to do some data manipulations, which I've explained in some other videos. So what I'm essentially doing here is taking the data frame and just take the fourth column, which is the close price, right? So this is just extracting the close price out of what we are getting here. So I'm doing some renamings here. So I'm just renaming this column as close. And now we are getting to the actual calculations. And as I just explained, we are taking rolling sums. So we are creating a column which is called ST for short-term moving average. Then we are taking the closest. So the closest are again just the data frame where we have stored our closest, and we are storing that in a closed column here. And then we are rolling over that, take the short-term simple moving average, and we are subtracting a 1. Why do we subtract a 1? Because of what I just explained, right? So we want to get the sum of the previous without the live price days here, right? So I'm just taking the rolling sum of ST minus 1, and the same logic for the long-term simple moving average. Okay. And in the end, we are just getting rid of all those NaN values and we are in placing them. And in the end, we just want to have the data frame, which is the data frame we are working with, right? So let's execute that and let's actually take a look at that. So historicals, I'm just calling that historicals. Then historicals of, let's take Bitcoin and provide the long-term moving average. And with that, we are getting a data frame like this. So we have a close price, and then we have, again, the sum of the simple moving averages and the sum of the long-term moving averages, right? So not the sum of the simple moving averages, sorry, just the sum of the close prices over this period, right? And with this sum of the close prices, we can calculate the live simple moving average. And this is what we are doing now. So I'm defining a function live SMA, take historical data and live data. Now I'm doing what I did with the NumPy array some minutes ago. So I'm taking the live simple short-term moving average, take the ST column here. So I'm actually taking a look at the values of this column, then add the live price. So the live data, you might know the structure of the live data if you have followed one of my previous videos. So it's just live data containing a price column, and then I'm just taking the value out of that. All right, and I'm dividing that by the time horizon here. So ST was 7. And with that, I'm getting the live simple moving average, right? So you can, in case you are skeptical or something like that, you can actually just print that out when pulling live data, and then you will see that you are getting exactly the simple moving averages which you're seeing when taking a look at the Binance website. Anyhow, so now long term, just replace these with long term, and then we are returning both the live short-term simple moving average and the live long-term simple moving average. All right, so I cannot show it to you right now because I don't have live prices yet, but we will do that in some seconds. Now I'm copy pasting a function which I've just covered in so many videos, so I will explain this function to you. So this function is taking a message from Binance and is just translating that to readable data, but also data we can calculate with. So you see some transformations here, some slicing, some renaming, and also some typecasting to enabling us to calculate with this kind of data. And also a timestamp conversion here. So in a nutshell, just translation of rather not readable data to readable data, which is convenient. Okay, and now we are defining the strategy. So we are just using the live price extraction as exactly described in the Python Binance library documentation, right? So we are defining an asynchronous function here, which we are calling main. You can also call that strategy, right? And this function is taking a coin, a quantity, and a stop loss limit, and is setting the initial open position to false, right? And now we are just sticking to the documentation, so I will link that in the video description. So we are defining the Binance socket manager first, then define a trade socket of our provided coin, and then we're using async with TS as TSCM, and now we are just defining an infinite loop here, and inside this loop we are receiving messages from the WebSocket. So we're using TSCM receive. And now I'm adding something which is not done in the documentation. I'm doing that because of my createframe function. So I just want to make sure that this message which we are receiving from the socket, that there is an actual message and we are not getting, sometimes you are getting empty messages without any data. And I just want to make sure that we are getting an actual message. Otherwise, you are getting errors, and a lot of people have commented this error, and this is due to the fact that you are just not getting anything from this socket. So here I'm defining frame with my createframe function and transform the message received from the server. If there is anything inside it, I'm transforming it to a data frame. Right? And I want to print out this frame, so just that we're getting a feedback, so just that we can see that this live stream is running. And now we're just defining the live simple moving average and the live long-term simple moving average, so short-term and long-term. And we're doing that by calling the live SMA function, provide the historicals, which are, by the way, static, right? You only have to pull this once a day. So in terms of deployment of this bot, you would need to write, for example, a cron job, which is executing this once a day, right? So you only have to pull that once a day because it is the last n days, and there will be no change to that, right? Okay, so we are providing this historicals, and then the frame, which is containing the live prices. And with that, we're getting the live short-term simple moving average and the long-term simple moving average. Now we're just defining if this live simple moving average, short-term simple moving average, is above this live long-term moving average, and we don't have an open position, then we want to place an order, right? So I'm quickly copy pasting here. So this is just creating an order with the client. So we are providing this provided coin, then the site is buy, then market order, and a provided quantity. Okay. And once this is happening, we want to print out the order, and we need to extract the buy price from this order. This is just our benchmark for, e.g., our stop loss or trading stop loss, whatever you want to use here. I'm covering stop loss in some seconds. So I have to make a float typecast of the order which is provided in the dictionary, and I'm just filtering out for the price. Right? And after all that, I want to set the open position to true. Okay. So now I want to define my selling conditions. And we are first of all checking if we have an open position. And now we are using the stop loss first. So the script is selling if the price is below the buy price times the stop loss limit. So for example, 98%. Or, and this is our desired outcome, our price is above, and then the target profit you want to focus. So for example, 2% of the buy price. All right. And if that's the case, we want to place a selling order here. So I'll change that to sell. That should be fine. Okay, and then we want to print the order. Strange indentation here. Want to print the order. So finally, we are stopping the loop, which we are coming to in some seconds. And this is both stopping the live stream and also shutting down the whole kernel. Right? So let's execute that, and let's actually take a look at the whole strategy. And now, before we are running this, it's very important that you're checking for the coin you want to trade, that you're checking if the short-term simple moving average is currently below the long-term moving average. Otherwise, it wouldn't make any sense to trade that, right? So let me give you an example. So I pulled the historical data for the Bitcoin. So let's take a look at Bitcoin. Let me just pull that here. And you see that the Bitcoin is currently, so the short-term moving average is above the long-term moving average. So this won't make any sense here, right? So if I'm taking Cardano, for example, you see that the short-term is but the short-term is below the long-term moving average, right? So Cardano would be a valid choice here. As I already wrote in the community post of today, I've ran this bot for a lot of assets which are close, or which were close to a crossover, but I had no luck of triggering trades. So you can check, for example, this one. I don't even know what this coin is about. So this is also a valid option here. But as you see in the last days, we don't have a crossover here. I think this one I was trading as well. It's close to cross, but it didn't cross, and some more other assets here, right? So of course, if you want to improve this script, you are automating this check, right? So let's run this bot. So let's zoom in again. And now we are taking if name is main, if name is main, then we are creating the loop using async.io get event loop, and then we are running that until complete, calling our main function, which is our strategy function, and then we are providing a certain asset such as Cardano. But now again, it's very important that you're also pulling the historical data for Cardano and not Bitcoin. Otherwise, the calculations would crash here, right? Or wouldn't make any sense. So if I'm providing Cardano here, I have my historicals for Cardano. And providing the quantity. So as a reminder, this was an argument of this function, quantity and the stop loss limit here. So stop loss limit, I'm just taking it 98%. And yeah, if I would run this cell here, I would get a live stream of Cardano. But until this crossover is happening, this can take hours, this can take days, or in my case, this can take over 1 week here, right? So I'm quickly just showing you by faking crossover that this is actually technically working, right? So let me stop that and actually restart the kernel. Have to do that because I've explained that in the other video. So Jupyter is running a loop itself here, right? So if I would execute any cell, the live stream would continue to stream data here. So I'm just executing everything again. And now I'm doing a manipulation here. I'm just pushing the short-term moving average so that we are getting a cross here, right? So as said, this is not part of the strategy. It's just to show you that this is working if the crossover would occur. So I'm just pushing that to, let's take 52, which is above the long-term. And then we are running this, and let's just take a very, very, I don't know the word, very close stop loss limit so that we are getting a direct trigger, only that you see that this is working. So stop loss at this one and target profit, I don't know, let's just take this one here, right? So these are not recommended parameters, these are just example parameters so that we are actually getting a buy and a sell trade here. So let's execute that. And you see we are immediately getting a buying order here. This is the confirmation. So we bought for 1.987. And this might take some seconds or even minutes, depending on how fast this is being triggered. So I'm cutting that off here. I see you in some seconds or minutes. All right, now you have seen it live. Kernel appears to have died. And you see we are getting the selling order here triggered by the stop loss limit. So yeah, and that's it for the strategy. So as always, a lot of improvement potential. Of course, be invited to let me know what you think in the comments below. I thank you very much for watching, and I'm looking forward to seeing the upcoming videos. Bye bye.